Welcome back, guys. So in this lesson, let's talk about Java class attributes, right? So all this time we have been talking about variable, right? This thing is a variable, right? We have been talking about that. But reality is, it is actually called an attribute of the class, okay? And you can say this is a class attributes, okay? Class attributes are basically variables within a class. So that's another name, just so you guys know. And other than attributes, we're also going to talk about a keyword called final. So let's go ahead and create a new class on this, right? We're just going to say, call it attribute and final. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to close out this groups concept class. Okay. So in here, right, if I have, let's say, int x equals 6, that's an example, right? So as we know, this is a variable, right? This is a variable that we have over here, and I'm declaring the value of the variable as 6. Now, for this variable x, this can also be called an attribute, right? So generally, if I want to access this, I cannot just come to this main method and say x. That wouldn't work. It wouldn't give me anything, right? So what I have to do, I have to first create an object of this, right? So how I do that? Attribute on final space. Again, I'm just going to do it lowercase. Attribute and final equals new this, right? And close this. So this attribute and final, again, just lowercase, just same name, just keeping it lowercase. It's just the easier way of understanding things. So now, if I want this specific value printed or something, right? Or if I wanted to alter that value in here, right now it's 6. So if I was to print out, let's say, s out, and I just say attribute final, right? Dot. So you need that dot. Dot is important, and that'll give you, whatever you're gonna print out. If I was to just print this thing out, it'll just give me the result, whatever I put in. What if I want to change that value? I don't want it to be 6. I want it to be something else. How do I do that? Right? So what I can do, I can just say the same keyword that I have, right? Attribute and final, not keyword, the object name, dot x, right? Equals, instead of 6, let's say I have 22. Let's print this out now. S out attribute final dot x. Let's see what we got. See, first is printing this line right here. It's giving me 6. And then when it comes over here, it prints out 22. See, right now, we just altered that value to whatever value that we want. Now, there would be time when we don't want anybody to change this value, right? We want this value to be constant. We want it to be the same all the time. So how do we do that, right? In math, we have this this value called pi, right? We have 3.141 something. So usually for that, that value would never change, right? We don't want anybody to change that. Or if we talk about, let's say, int days of the week, right? It'll always be 7, right? We're never going to change that, right? It'll always be the same. That is never going to change. So now, if I want to, I can, technically speaking, if I want to, I can change, attribute final dot. See, I also have days of this, and I can change this to 8 or something, and that would work. Here, let me just put this couple of lines here. Right, days of the week. If I wanted to print this, right here, if I was to print this, let's do us out. And I said attribute final, right, dot days of the week. If I was to print this, it'll give me 8. So 622, and then it should give me 8. It gave me 8. Obviously, that's wrong, right? Days of the week is never going to be 8 days. It's always Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'm sorry, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, right? It's 7 days. Regardless of how you count it, it's always going to be 7 days. So what we can do in this case, we can say the keyword final. Oops, final. Okay? By saying this as a final, you see, I'm already getting an error over here. I'm already getting an error right there. See, the final field attribute of days of the week cannot be assigned. Quick fix is to remove the final modifier. So if I want to make any alteration in here, I have to remove the final keyword, right? Otherwise, if I was to run this thing, it'll just throw an error. It'll not let me run this thing. If I was to proceed, see, it's an exception, unresolved compilation issues, and whatever, you know, it just gives me these issues. What I have to do over here, right? I cannot basically make any changes to this. Or even if I put 7, it still doesn't let me do anything, right? If I put 6, still doesn't let me do anything. That means I cannot really make any change to this thing. It is what it is. Take it as how it is. If you don't like it, well, too bad, right? So now the issue is gone. I have to take it just as is. Now, if I run this thing, this gives me 7, right? So hopefully that makes sense. You know, it is we use the keyword final whenever we don't want the value to get changed. Whenever we want the value to remain the same, we use the keyword final, and you cannot make any changes within the methods or you cannot change the value of the variable, basically. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. In the next lesson, we will continue learning more on this. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Please comment, subscribe below. Thank you so much, guys.